So joining me is Mr. Mukesh Aghi, who is the president of the US-India Strategic Partnership Forums. And Mr. Aghi, thank you very much for speaking to NDTV. This last year was a landmark deal for both US and India. We saw the Micron deal happening. We saw US really support India in its presidency. Now this is an election year for both India and the US. What are US investors thinking?
Well, you have to understand the US-India relationship is much broader than election between two countries. It is geopolitically aligned, it's economically aligned, it's technologically aspirational, and people to people. We have around 5 million Indian Americans who are keen to foster this relationship in a very strong manner. So regardless of who comes in the US or regardless of what the outcome of elections in India, the relationship will go up farther, deeper and broader between the two countries.
Mr. Aghi, there's a lot of talk about de-risking from China. Do you think India stands to benefit in those circumstances?
No, absolutely. I think when you look at one prime example would be Apple. Apple 3 years ago was doing no manufacturing in India. Next year, 25% of Apple iPhone 16 will be manufactured in India itself. So what we are seeing is a momentum picking up where a lot of companies are de-risking their manufacturing and supply chain and leveraging India both from supply chain and market access.
There's a lot of talk about, when you talk about semiconductors or all these even futuristic technologies, is India prepared for that? Because there's always this challenge that are we preparing our students enough? Are we training our youth enough to handle the jobs that can come about in the future?
The answer is yes. You have to understand Indian entrepreneur, Indian student is very astute, hardworking, focused, intelligent. So I think they're able to adopt to technology very fast. You look at how fast the digital platform took off in India, how many transactions happened. They have happened in the highest in the world itself. So I think the Indian consumer, the Indian student, the Indian entrepreneur are astute to pick up things and move on very fast.
Mr. Aghi, while US-India relationships are on a high, there have also been some challenges, especially with regard to the Khalistan question. Do you think concerns like this might affect the relationship that we are so happy about right now?
I think Khalistan issue is an aberration. It is not we should focus on. I think you have a couple of folks who are trying to make noise, a couple of folks who are trying to make it an issue, but I think there's maturity on part of government of India and the US government to handle these issues in a mature fashion. Yes, you can see that there are differences also. India's purchase of Russian oil, but US accepted that. I think India may not agree with the US in a lot of areas, but India also accepts that. It shows the maturity of the partnership, shows the maturity of the leadership, and I think that relationship will continue regardless of some of these issues cropping up.
Mr. Aghi, there's also trouble in the Red Sea waters, and you see who the rebels. Has been a joint statement that's come out from different statements. Do you think this issue has the potential to impact the global economy?
Well, I think we're living in a very fragile times. Ripples somewhere becomes waves in other part of the world. When you look at what's happening in Red Sea, almost 15% of the global trade traffic goes through Red Sea. And the moment you stop the traffic, what happens is a container which takes 21 days now will take 41 days coming from India into Europe. The impact on India is more on its export of agricultural goods, especially rice. And I think you will see that impact happening. But we are seeing also a lot of other goods which are moving between Asia and Europe is getting impacted. So I think it will have an inflationary impact. How much it is, it depends on how fast we open the Red Sea.
My last question to you, sir. Vibrant Gujarat, you've been associated with this event for many years. Tell us, what are your expectations and how is it different this time?
Well, I think you have to understand the event is happening after COVID-19. So there's a lot of pent-up energy. That's one. Two is we have a large number of companies and countries coming in. We are leading the largest delegation of any country coming into Vibrant Gujarat. India's story is very strong story. India's story is very positive story. India's story talks about long-term investment, long-term gain. You have a population of 1.4 billion whose quality of life is improving, whose purchasing power is going up, and a lot of companies would like to be part of that story itself. So I think Vibrant Gujarat has a lot of energy. There's a lot of focus in making sure that they streamline the investment policies. And this is not just about Gujarat. I think this is about Vibrant India. and that's where I think the story starts.
Thank you, Mr. Aghi, for speaking
My
to
pleasure.
NDTV.
Thank you.